Alright guys, for this video we're just going to do this A and B right underneath quotient identities, and how we're going to do these is we're going to draw a right triangle. So it's kind of a lot like we drew the right triangles for the inverse functions. Now the one common mistake, if we look at this one, A, if it's saying if tangent of A is 2/5, we want to find cosine of A. A common mistake is, since we just introduced this, is a lot of students would just think that we can just say, alright, if tangent is 2/5, then sine would be 2 and cosine would be 5. Alright? And they would say, oh yeah, that's the answer. Cosine of A is 5. Reason why we can't do this is because, remember, in the unit circle, sine and cosine can never ever be more than 1. So they're always proportional. So this, it's not as easy as just saying that sine is the top and cosine is the bottom. So what we have to do is we have to draw a right triangle. So let me just kind of zoom in here. Oops. Alright, I'll zoom in right here. And we'll draw a right triangle for A. Okay, so if I draw this right triangle, I'll say this is A. Now since tangent of A is 2/5, remember this is like saying opposite over adjacent. So the side opposite A, I'm going to say, is 2. The side opposite, or the side adjacent of angle A, is 5. So what we really have to get here is the hypotenuse. Now I'm going to skip it, but if we just did 2 squared plus 5 squared equals the hypotenuse squared, the hypotenuse is going to equal the square root of 29. Alright, and then once you have a right triangle, you can get the ratios for all 6 trig functions. Well, we only want to find cosine of A. So if we find cosine of A, this is adjacent over hypotenuse. So 5 is the adjacent. We figured out hypotenuse is root 29. So we get 5 over the square root of 29. But then we have to rationalize it. So I'll just kind of move this over. So when we rationalize it, we're going to get 5 root 29 over 29. And we're just going to get 5 root 29 over 29. And that's our answer. Alright, so for these ones, and then the worksheet that you're going to do after this, they're all going to be drawn right triangles. Okay, and eventually we'll get into more of these identities next week. Now to do the next one, again, I'm going to move this over. Now this one's going to be a triangle that we can deal with, meaning it's Pythagorean triple. So if I had this, if cosine of A is 3/5, if I draw this right triangle right here, let's say this is an angle A, well, cosine's adjacent over hypotenuse, this is 3, the hypotenuse is 5. Well, our Pythagorean triple for this is 3, 4, 5. So the opposite side's 4. So this is going to be a quicker one. So to find sine of A, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite side's 4, the hypotenuse is 5, so you get 4/5. And then since I have sine of A, cosecant of A, I just flip this. So cosecant of A is 5/4. Alright, so these ones where you're given a trig function and it equals a ratio, draw the picture of the right triangle and then just use your trig definitions.